Have you ever wondered why some men seem to effortlessly attract women, while others struggle, despite having money, looks, or status? What if I told you? It's not always about what you give to women, but about what you understand about them, because every woman, no matter how strong or independent she appears, has hidden weaknesses, and if you as a man can recognize them, you gain an advantage not to manipulate her, but to master yourself in your relationships. Before we dive deep, let me ask you this. Have you ever had your heart broken? Simply because you didn't understand a woman's behavior? Or maybe you stayed up at night wondering, why is she acting this way? Why is she pulling away when I've given her everything? If that sounds familiar, this video might just change the way you see women forever. So stick with me until the end, because once you understand these 7 hidden weaknesses of women, drawn from the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius and Stoic philosophy, you'll see love and relationships in a completely new light. And if you want to keep building this kind of wisdom, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and stay with me until the very last second. Because what you'll discover here could change your love life forever. Now, let's begin. 1. The hunger for attention. Do you remember the first time you fell in love? That feeling of constantly wanting to be near her, checking your phone every 2 minutes hoping she'd text back, or maybe staying up late, just to keep talking even though you had work or school the next day? Think about it for a second, those little moments where you were giving her your full attention. At the start, it probably felt magical, right? She lit up when you complimented her, smiled wider when you noticed her new hairstyle, and her voice softened when you stayed up just to hear about her day. That's because attention for her is like sunlight for a flower, it makes her bloom. But here's the part most men don't see. Attention is also her hidden weakness. See, Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." For many women, the thoughts that dominate are tied to attention, how much she's getting, who it's coming from, and whether it makes her feel valued. When a woman receives attention, she interprets it as love. When she doesn't, she begins to doubt herself and often doubts you. Now here's where the story flips. At first, your attention is rare, it feels golden. But the more you give, the less she treasures it. Maybe you've lived this already. Maybe you've been the guy who texts first every single time, writes paragraphs while she replies with 1 word, cancels plans with friends just to be available for her. And yet somehow, instead of being grateful, she seems colder. Why does this happen? Because attention, when unlimited, loses its value. What was once special becomes background noise. Let me ask you another question. Has there ever been a time where you pulled back just a little, whether on purpose or by accident, and suddenly she came running, asking why you were quiet, why you didn't reply right away, why you seemed distant? That's because women crave attention not just as comfort but as validation, and the moment it feels threatened, her weakness is revealed. Here's the truth Marcus Aurelius would remind us of. Everything external is fleeting. If you make her attention hunger the center of your world, you'll always be chasing, always trying to feed a hunger that never ends. But if you master yourself, if you learn to balance, giving her attention but also keeping some for yourself, you become rare again. And rare things are always valuable. Think of it like this. If gold were lying on every street corner, people wouldn't fight to have it. It's precious because it's scarce. Your attention works the same way. So let me challenge you. Stop for a moment and think about your last relationship. Did you give too much attention? Did you lose yourself in the process of trying to make her feel seen? Or were you the man who kept balance, valuing her but never losing your own value? If you're honest, you'll know the answer. And once you see this weakness clearly, you'll never look at women or at your own behavior. 2. The struggle with emotional control. Have you ever been in a moment where the woman you love suddenly shifts on you? 1 minute she's laughing with you, holding your hand, looking at you like you're her whole world. And the next minute, over something so small, her face changes, her tone sharpens, and suddenly you're the villain in her story. If you've been in love, you've lived through this storm. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." And yet, many women struggle with this very lesson. Their greatest weakness often lies in emotional control. Think back to one of your past relationships. Can you remember a night when she got upset over something you thought was tiny? Maybe you forgot to reply fast enough. Or maybe you said something in a joking way that she took seriously. Suddenly it escalated. She cried. She accused. She withdrew, and you stood there thinking, how did we get here? This is the storm of her emotions. For many women, feelings are not just experiences, they are realities. If she feels unloved in a moment, then in her mind, she is unloved. If she feels insecure, then she is insecure. This is her weakness, not because emotions are bad, but because they often take control of her judgment. Now, here's where most men go wrong. When the storm hits, they fight it with more emotion. They argue louder, they defend themselves desperately, or they collapse in frustration. But tell me honestly, did that ever work? Did yelling back ever calm her? Did pleading ever make her listen? Or did it only fuel the fire? Marcus Aurelius faced wars, plagues, betrayals, and yet he wrote about the importance of inner calm. He knew that storms will always come from outside, but inside you must remain unshaken. And this is exactly how you must be with a woman's emotional waves. Imagine this. She's in tears saying things that sting your pride. Instead of losing yourself, you stay calm. You let her words pass through you without piercing your soul. You don't mock her emotions. You don't dismiss them, but you don't drown in them either. You wait, you listen, you stand firm. And here's the secret. When the storm passes, and it always does, she will remember not the argument, but your calm. She'll remember that while she was a wave, you were the rock. That strength creates respect. That calm creates trust. But if you let her weakness for emotional control drag you into chaos, you both lose. She loses respect for you, and you lose respect for yourself. So ask yourself right now, when her emotions rise, do you rise with them? Or do you stand grounded like Marcus Aurelius himself? Because one choice makes you just another man she argues with. The other makes you unforgettable. And that, my friend, is how you turn her weakness into your quiet strength. 3. The desire for security. Have you ever seen that look in a woman's eyes, the one where she silently asks you, am I safe with you? Not just safe from harm, but safe from chaos. Safe from uncertainty, safe from the storms of life. If you've ever been in love, you've seen it. Maybe it was when she leaned her head on your chest after a long, stressful day. Or maybe it was when she asked, do you think everything will be okay? In those small moments, her greatest weakness quietly reveals itself, her desire for security. Marcus Aurelius once said, if you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them. For women, one of the deepest sources of pain is insecurity, both emotional and practical. She wants to know she's not walking into a future of constant instability. Think back to your own relationships. Wasn't there a time she wanted reassurance? Maybe she asked about your plans, your vision, where you were heading. Not because she was materialistic, but because at her core she craves security. A woman can love a man deeply, but if she feels unsafe with him emotionally, financially, or mentally, her heart begins to wander. And here's where many men misunderstand. They think security means money, status, or luxury. But Marcus Aurelius teaches us otherwise. True strength is not in possessions, but in stability of mind. Security for her isn't always about wealth, it's about whether you can stand firm when life shakes. Let me tell you a story. Imagine a man who has nothing in his bank account, but everything in his character. When challenges come, he doesn't panic. He doesn't collapse, he breathes, thinks, and acts with composure. Now imagine another man with wealth and status, but every setback turns him into a storm of fear and anger. Which man do you think a woman will feel safer with? The one with calmness every time. Because here's her weakness. She cannot create security for herself alone, not in the way she needs it. She wants to know that if the world falls apart, you won't. That's why women admire men who have vision, who have direction, who know where they're going, even if they haven't reached the destination yet. Ask yourself, are you the type of man who makes her feel like she's stepping into stability, or like she's walking on eggshells? Do you give her calm, or do you add to her chaos? Marcus Aurelius, as emperor, had all of Rome depending on him, yet he wrote about being grounded within himself. That's what women truly want, not castles or crowns, but a man whose spirit is unshaken. Because once she feels secure with you, truly secure, you won't just have her body or her time, you'll have her trust. And trust, my friend, is the one thing stronger than desire. 4. The need to feel special. Do you remember the first time you made a woman feel truly special? Maybe it was when you looked at her in a crowded room and made her feel like she was the only one there. Or maybe it was when you remembered some small detail about her. A favorite song, a silly habit, or the way she liked her coffee. Do you remember her reaction? That soft smile, the sparkle in her eyes, the way she leaned closer as if you had just touched a part of her soul. That's because every woman, no matter how confident, no matter how independent, has this deep weakness, the need to feel special. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." But here's the truth, many women don't fully live by this. Their sense of happiness often depends on whether the man they love makes them feel unique, irreplaceable, different from the rest. Think back to your own past. Have you ever noticed how she tested you, not in big ways, but in subtle ones? She'd ask questions like, "Do you think she's prettier than me?" Or, "Why do you like me?" These weren't just casual questions. They were her way of asking, "Am I special to you, or am I just another option?" Here's the trap. Many men, in their desperation to please, go overboard. They shower her with constant praise, text all day long, say, "You're my everything," every 5 minutes. And what happens? Instead of making her feel special, it starts to feel routine, like empty words she no longer believes. A Stoic man understands balance. He values her, but he never worships her. He shows her she matters, but he doesn't lose himself trying to prove it every second. That balance is what keeps his attention powerful. Think about this. Imagine 2 scenarios. In one, a man constantly tells her she's the most beautiful woman in the world. In the other, a man rarely says it, but when he does, he looks her in the eyes and says it with such conviction that she feels it deep in her soul. Which moment do you think she'll carry in her heart? It's always the second one. Because what is rare is precious. Her weakness lies in needing to feel like she's not replaceable. Your strength lies in giving her that feeling without drowning her in it. So ask yourself right now, in your last relationship, did she feel special? Or did she start to feel like just another person in your busy life? Did you make her shine in your presence, or did you treat her attention as ordinary? The truth is, when you learn to strike this balance, you unlock something powerful. Because when a woman feels truly special with you, she won't want to be anywhere else. 5. The temptation of vanity. Have you ever been with a woman who spent more time in front of the mirror than with you? Or maybe she couldn't go a day without posting a perfectly filtered picture on Instagram, waiting for the flood of likes and comments? If you've experienced this, you've already seen one of the most common weaknesses in women, the temptation of vanity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Consider how fleeting and trivial are all things human. Yet vanity makes people cling to the fleeting, worship the trivial, and women, more than men, are often vulnerable to this trap. Because so much of their value in society is tied to appearance. Think back to someone you loved. Do you remember how her mood could change based on whether she felt pretty that day? One moment she's glowing because someone complimented her hair. The next moment, she's downcast because she thought she looked fat in a picture. Her beauty was there all along, but her emotions rose and fell with vanity's grip. And maybe as her man, you tried to help. You told her she was beautiful, you reassured her again and again. But here's the truth. Vanity is a weakness that no man can fully satisfy. Because vanity is like a bottomless cup. The more you pour into it, the more it leaks out. Here's where men often make the mistake. They feed her vanity instead of grounding her. They shower her with endless compliments, hoping it will calm her insecurities. But what happens? The compliments lose their power. She starts expecting them, almost demanding them, and they stop carrying meaning. The Stoic man sees this weakness differently. He admires her beauty but does not worship it. He acknowledges her appearance but praises her character, her kindness, her strength, her intelligence. He doesn't ignore her beauty, but he doesn't make it the center of her value either. Think about this. Imagine 2 men. One tells her she's beautiful every single day in the same robotic way. The other, instead of repeating empty lines, admires the way she handled a tough situation, or the way she treated someone with compassion. Which man do you think she will remember? Which one will she feel truly seen by? Always the second. Because deep down her vanity is both her weakness and her cry for something deeper. She wants to be admired for more than just the surface. She wants to believe her worth doesn't disappear with age or wrinkles. And if you're the man who helps her see that, she'll hold on to you. So let me ask you, in your last relationship, did you feed her vanity or did you feed her soul? Did you only admire her for her looks? Or did you make her feel valuable beyond the mirror? Marcus Aurelius reminds us that beauty fades but character endures. If you can guide her past her vanity, you won't just win her attention, you'll win her respect. 6. The fear of being replaced. Have you ever noticed how a woman suddenly gets jealous even over small things? Maybe you were just talking to another woman casually, or maybe you didn't text her back quickly enough, and suddenly she's upset, distant, or even accusing you of losing interest. That reaction comes from one of her deepest, hidden weaknesses, the fear of being replaced. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." But for many women, the thought of being replaced is not just change. It feels like death to their sense of worth. Think back to your own love life. Maybe you had a girlfriend who seemed confident, secure, even unshakable. But then something happened. You looked at your phone too long, or a female friend messaged you, and suddenly she wanted to know, who's that? Why is she texting you? Do you still love me? On the surface, it might seem like drama, insecurity, or unnecessary questioning. But at the root, it's fear. Fear that one day you'll wake up, look at someone else, and decide she's no longer enough. And here's where men often go wrong. They think the solution is to reassure endlessly, to beg her not to worry, to promise her again and again that she's the only one. But much like vanity, this fear cannot be erased by words alone. The more you reassure without balance, the more desperate she becomes for proof. A Stoic man handles this differently. He understands her fear, but he does not feed it with weakness. He makes it clear through his actions that while he chooses her, he is not dependent on her. His world does not collapse if she leaves. And that paradox, knowing she is chosen but not needed, makes her value him more. Ask yourself, have you ever noticed how women are more drawn to men who seem like they could replace them but choose not to? That quiet confidence, that subtle independence, that air of not being desperate, this is what flips her fear into attraction. Because her weakness is the terror of being replaced. Your strength is showing her you are complete on your own. You want her, but you don't need her. Think of it this way. If you cling too tightly, she feels trapped. If you let go completely, she feels unwanted. But if you hold her with open hands, strong enough to show her she matters, free enough to show her you could walk away, she respects you deeply. Marcus Aurelius lived with the constant awareness of death and change. He knew nothing was permanent. Women know this too, and that's why this fear runs so deep. So let me ask you one final question. Do you make her fear being replaced? Or do you make her grateful that you've chosen not to replace her? The answer will tell you exactly where you stand in her heart. 7. The battle with self-reflection. When was the last time you looked in the mirror? Not just to fix your hair or check your clothes, but to really confront yourself, to face your flaws, your mistakes, your patterns. For many men, this is already difficult. But for many women, it's an even greater weakness, the inability, or rather the unwillingness, to sit with themselves and admit, I was wrong. Marcus Aurelius in his meditations constantly examined his own thoughts. Every night he reviewed his day, his actions, his failures, his progress. Why? Because he knew that without self-reflection, the soul becomes blind. But here's the truth. Many women run from self-reflection. They drown it in distractions, social media, gossip, shopping, endless noise. Why? Because silence is dangerous. In silence, the truth emerges. And the truth might reveal insecurities they've been avoiding, mistakes they've been denying, or pain they've been covering up with vanity and drama. Think back to your relationships. Maybe you argued with a woman, and instead of admitting her part in the conflict, she twisted the blame back to you. Maybe you noticed how she'd rather cut ties or stay angry than sit down and ask herself, what role did I play in this? That's not always stubbornness, it's fear. The battle with self-reflection is one of the deepest weaknesses because it requires courage to confront yourself, and courage is rare. But here's where Stoicism gives you an edge. A Stoic man does not run from self-reflection. He embraces it. He knows that the unexamined life leads only to repeated mistakes. By practicing reflection, through journaling, silence, or honest thought, he sharpens his soul. And here's the irony. While women may struggle with self-reflection, they are irresistibly drawn to men who master it. Why? Because it gives you depth. It makes you unshakable. It allows you to admit when you're wrong without losing power. It shows her you are not afraid of truth, even when truth is uncomfortable. Let me paint a picture. Imagine two men. The first one avoids self-reflection. He blames others, denies his weaknesses, hides behind ego. When conflict arises, he explodes or withdraws. He cannot handle truth because truth threatens his fragile image. The second man is different. He pauses, he reflects. He admits his flaws but does not wallow in them. He learns, adapts, grows. When conflict arises, he doesn't lash out blindly. He examines, he understands, and then he acts with calm strength. Which man do you think she respects more? Which man do you think earns her trust? The battle with self-reflection is not just her weakness, it's also your opportunity. For when you master it, you not only rise above her struggles, you set yourself apart as rare, valuable, and unforgettable. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If someone can show me I'm wrong, I will gladly change. For it is truth I seek, and the truth never harmed anyone." Now I'll leave you with this. Do you seek comfort in lies? Or do you have the strength to face truth even when it hurts? Your answer will decide whether you stay ordinary or become truly powerful. Closing reflections. Marcus Aurelius lived as an emperor, yet died as a philosopher. He understood human weakness not to exploit it, but to master his own responses to it. That is your challenge as a man. Not to control women, but to control yourself in the presence of their weaknesses. Because once you master your own mind, their weaknesses no longer disturb your peace. Instead, they become windows through which you see the truth of human nature. And that truth is power. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.